Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
A local school district forced to eliminate bus service this year after the sudden resignation of their drivers.
The legal fallout for USA Gymnastics could be in the final stages after announcing a massive settlement with gymnasts who were sexually abused by Larry Nassar.
We're going to begin, though, with breaking news just in along the Detroit-Dearborn border, where a police cruiser is damaged in a high-speed chase.
That chase reached speeds of 100 miles per hour. Tim Pamplin is on the scene with a night cam. Tim.
Police were pursuing this vehicle for an armed robbery on the west side of Detroit last night. Well, tonight they saw that Chrysler 300 on the west side of Detroit again. The chase was on through Detroit, through Dearborn Heights, speeds up to 100 miles an hour, at one point colliding with this Detroit police cruiser, rear-ending that. Fortunately, no injuries here. The driver then fled eastbound on Ford Road. Officers in pursuit, they finally lost sight of the vehicle down near Ford and Mercury, near the Ford Weld headquarters down that area there. They believe the vehicle got on the freeway and made his escape. But a wild scene on Detroit's west side and into Dearborn Heights as police were pursuing this armed robbery suspect. That is the scene in Dearborn tonight with the night cam. Tim Pamplin, Local 4.
Okay, Tim. The sudden resignation of 2 bus drivers has forced the Grosse Ile Township School District to eliminate bus services to start the year. It's put parents really in a bind, especially those with multiple kids in school. Jason Colthorpe is on the island tonight. Any word on why these drivers quit, Jason?
No reason given, and the letter went out 5 days ago. The same night parents were supposed to meet the new bus driver, so they canceled that event. And as you can see, the search is ongoing. But for parents who had to go through this last year, it is a logistical nightmare.
It's hard to get where everybody needs to be on time.
Like many Grosse Ile parents, Jackie Hammonds was thrilled when the superintendent sent out a letter that busing was back this year.
But when the second letter was received stating a couple of bus drivers have resigned, it was a little disheartening because I knew I would have to go back to trying to figure out how to get everybody to school on time as well as get myself to work on time.
No easy task for Hammonds, who has a 7th grader and a 4th grader who don't start at the same time. It's like juggling chainsaws.
Parents are lined up down Meridian waiting to drop off and pick up kids, so it's almost actually dangerous. No one has gotten hurt, but just with so many cars in the parking lot and so many children trying to get to class, that is a safety concern as well.
Over the summer, the district hired 2 new drivers and rehired 3, but the 2 sudden departures left them with just enough to handle the required busing for special education and career technical programming. So now it's back to the traffic nightmares, at least for the beginning of the school year.
You rely on those who are close to you. So that saying, it takes a village, it literally takes a village. Between, my sister and my parents here, we've all kind of worked together as a team over the last year, and I think that's where we're going to be headed this year as well. And I think we can all hold on till October, but if it goes any farther, I think it's going to be very difficult for a lot of families.
Well, Jason, she mentioned October there. Is there a chance this is only a temporary problem then?
That is the tentative plan here, Kim. The district has been working on getting outside busing lined up since the summer, actually. And that's why it's keeping the tiered start times for elementary schools, because if outside companies are also having trouble lining up their own drivers, this would help in that regard. But right now they just can't give parents a hard date, promise any hard date, because they just don't know when that'll happen. But they're hoping by the end of October. Yeah. We'll see. Back to you.
As you said, though, in the meantime, puts parents really in a tough bind. Jason, we appreciate it.
President Biden addressing the nation today about the legacy and the costs of America's longest war, and also defending the evacuation that brought more than 124,000 people out of it.
I was not going to extend this forever war, and I was not extending a forever exit. After 20,744 American servicemen and women injured, and the loss of 2,461 American personnel, including 13 lives lost just this week, I refuse to open another decade of warfare in Afghanistan.
President says there are about 100 to 200 American citizens who do want to leave Afghanistan but are still there. There is no deadline at the moment to get them out of the country. USA Gymnastics has agreed to pay out $425 million to hundreds of women as part of a massive settlement.
Yeah, the settlement includes Olympic champions who say they were sexually assaulted by Larry Nassar. Mara McDonald is live downtown tonight. Mara, Nassar was the impetus for this settlement, but there's other language included here as well.
Kimberly, there is interesting language in here. First of all, yes, this settlement language specifies Larry Nassar, but it goes a step further than that, including any coach or anybody affiliated with the sport who has essentially been accused of wrongdoing. And while this has been filed in the federal bankruptcy court, there's still a lot of unknown. Let me show you. USA Gymnastics under the microscope for allowing an environment where Larry Nassar went unchecked for years is currently in bankruptcy. The deal to pay out $425 million to 500 women has been filed with the court, but the organization does not have the cash on hand at this point and would have to come to agreements with its insurance carriers to make it happen. The deal also includes getting what is described as substantial compensation from the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic committees. How the money would be distributed among those survivors, including Olympic stars like Simone Biles and Aly Raisman, is also unclear. The USA Gymnastics settlement at $425 million is less than the $500 million that Michigan State University ultimately paid to settle its Nassar-related lawsuits. Back here live, USA Gymnastics started off with offering these women $215 million in a settlement. The organization was roundly criticized for that. You can see now they've upped it to $425. We're live downtown tonight. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
Okay, Mara. A man is charged after a deadly hit-and-run crash that killed a 4-year-old Detroit boy.
The crash happened last week at the Sunoco gas station on East 7 Mile in Hoover. Prosecutors say the boy died after being run over by a driver. Abdul McKinnon is charged with failure to stop at an accident causing serious impairment or death and driving while license suspended. He was given a $75,000 personal bond and ordered not to drive.
It has been 15 years since Juwan Deering was convicted of murder. Today, Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald says he did not receive a fair trial. His murder conviction was in connection with a house fire in Royal Oak Township that killed 5 children back in the year 2000. McDonald is now recommending his conviction be vacated based on an old interview with a survivor who said Deering did not start the fire. That interview was never shared with the defense nor the jury.
This is a dark day for this office, and I think all of us have really struggled with it, and we are committed to making sure this just never happens again.
This is truly one of the worst instances of hiding favorable evidence that I've ever come across in 11 years of doing this.
State police looking into the case, particularly the arson investigation that said the fire started outside the home. The paperwork to appeal Deering's conviction, though, is expected to be filed tomorrow morning.
Standardized test scores dropped for most Michigan students during the pandemic. M-STEP scores were lower for every grade tested in math and social studies, and for most in reading as well. The M-STEP test was optional. The state says students who took it were more likely to be from districts with in-person or hybrid learning. They were also less likely to be students of color, economically disadvantaged, or English learners. Educators hope billions in spending for schools can help students recover from the learning loss of the pandemic.
KISS fans will not be watching the rock band perform at DTE tomorrow night. The band is postponing its next 4 tour dates because bassist Gene Simmons has now tested positive for COVID. That news comes just days after guitarist Paul Stanley tested positive. KISS says all previously purchased tickets, though, will be honored for new dates once they are announced. Ticket holders will receive emails with more information, but there's no way they're giving up on Detroit Rock City.
Very nice. All right, another popular business is shutting down due to a lack of workers.
Detroit's Dutch Girl Donuts say it ain't so, temporarily closing starting tomorrow. The shop posted on Facebook saying the closure is so it can get back to full staff and hours, but it did not say when the shop plans to open, just as we're getting to donut season, right?
I know, but a problem that so many businesses are
seeing it time and again. You know it.
All right, still ahead, a police officer under investigation for a violent arrest.
A woman says she was just walking her dog when the officer approached her. Viral video at the center of the investigation coming up. Let's check in with Andrew.
And Kimberly and Devin, mild conditions right now, upper 60s here in town and in Wayne County, still holding on to 70 degrees at City Airport, but we cool off nicely tonight and remain dry. How warm does it get tomorrow? That and the talk of more tropical depressions coming right up.
All right, Andrew, but first, a new study compares the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines and which shot produces the most antibodies. We'll have that next.